In view of the recent publication of Mr. Sherlock Holmes's most celebrated cases, writes a representative, I called upon the famous scientific detective for the purpose of elucidating, if possible, some of his eventful and thrilling episodes in his adventures. I found the celebrated sleuth-hound, whose fame is now European, seated before a comfortable fire in his cosily furnished rooms in Baker Street. His chin was sunk upon his chest, and his lynx eyes were fixed upon the ceiling with that hawk-like expression which his portraits have rendered so familiar to us. "Good evening," said he, without turning his head or altering his gaze as I entered. "You could not have come at a better time. I was just off to bed. You wish to interview me?" he added, as his eyes literally pierced me through and through. "You wear a high hat on Sundays. You're fond of cream tarts. Mr. William Watson is your favourite author, and 17 years and 6 months ago you had a cousin who died." "Really, Mr. Holmes," I stammered in amazement, "it is quite true, though how on earth do you know?" "It is very simple," he said, smiling. "Moreover, it saves me from ennui, it, and cocaine. Life, my dear sir. Your name, by the way, begins with a D, as I see from your handkerchief, is only interesting because it is mysterious. What is ordinary is merely that is not remarkable. If you could open all the windows and sail through over this vast city, you would behold strange secrets. I do not seem to be able to persuade you of the importance of the improbable," he said reflectively. "I have come, Mr. Holmes," I said hastily, knowing from Dr. Conan Doyle's account of his weakness for this vein of reflection, and fearing to be taken beyond my depth. "I've come to ask about the book." "You mean," he interrupted, "my treatise on the 742 ways of saying the word damn?" "No, I refer to Dr. Doyle's collection of your adventures." "I have heard of the man," said Mr. Holmes. "It's my business to know all kinds of people, but I've never met him. If you look in my index under the heading Plagiarists—" "But," I objected, "Dr. Doyle is a novelist." "True, but he's also a plagiarist, the very worst kind of plagiarist, seeing that he steals from life. Oddly enough, as there was no classical concert this evening, I was just dipping into the very book to which you refer." He waved his hand towards the table and leaned back in his chair with a little soft laugh. As he put his fingertips together and closing his eyes, he assumed a languid expression of weariness. I guessed what was coming, and so seized my opportunity and my notebook. "It is perhaps," Mr. Holmes resumed, "just as well, my good man, that people will not stick to the truth. Otherwise my occupation, and it is a very pleasant way of passing the time, would be gone. This man, who is a stranger to me, has compiled a book purporting to be my adventures. It is, in fact, a garbled version of some very inferior incidences of my professional career, but where or how he got hold of them, I cannot say, although my mind is already made up. You see, Watson could never keep his tongue quiet, and he was the densest of men I ever saw, as you may have perceived. If a man wore a muddy coat, he would wonder how I knew he'd been splashed. And then Scotland Yard has always been jealous of me. They may have given me away. But in any case, it is of no consequence. Dr. Doyle, by the way, I am in a position to state, has written 8 other books, and this one appeared originally in the columns of a magazine where it ran for 12 months. Am I not right? Certainly, but how? It is merely the faculty of observation, he replied. By examining the book, I found out that, obviously too, He's a man of few scruples and no respect for the truth. He is an unfair man, striving, like all his class, to make copy where he can. I have been grossly misrepresented by him. Do you really think I made that blunder in a scandal in Bohemia? Do you imagine I had as little a finger in the engineer's thumb, or the copper beeches as he made it out? Do you suppose I inferred as ineffectually in the 5 pits as he represents? What do you suppose was his object, Mr. Holmes? The famous detective looked at me full in the face. Gain, said he simply. I stared back in astonishment. Yes, he resumed, it's all easy when you see the explanation. You see, the book is large and expensively brought out. Moreover, it is issued by a publisher who caters to the millions. Hence, it is clear a very large sale is anticipated. Why? Because the book is supposed to contain the popular element, and that popular element is myself. Now, it follows that Dr. Doyle must have heard of me through Watson or the police, or that he saw I should suit his game, which was money. Having invented spurious stories about me, he hit upon a publisher similarly unscrupulous, with my name and a fairly accurate account of those interesting cases of mine, the blue carbuncle, the speckled band. He made a good start, and after that, anything would sell, even stuff like the engineer's thumb or the noble husband. It is a case of moral degeneration. What else do you gather of Dr. Doyle? I asked. Mr. Holmes yawned. He is evidently a smoker, for your smoker always attributes the odious vice to his hero. I need hardly say I never touch tobacco. It is clear, too, that he's not a teetotaler. One word more, and I have done. Should you say Dr. Doyle was young or old? Mr. Holmes got up and stretched himself. I need only to refer you to the colour of the book. The end. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Forward it. Also, if you've written an essay, a pastiche, or a parody on Sherlock Holmes, and you want me to read it out, send it to my email, Sherlock Holmes Beyond the Stories at AOL.com. You'll find this in today's show notes. Until the next time, I've been Steve. Bye bye.